Morning, everybody. We're here today because we've put summonses out for the Halifax, Russell-Galley. The summons was put out because of mortgage fraud. So here's our evidence here. It's bonded. So this went out to, I'll give you the names and the addresses of where they went. So five went to the Royal Courts and to the Masters, plus one of those five went to Alex Chalk, who is the solicitor appointed by the Queen in 2021 in October. So he's got a copy of what's going on here as well. One copy went to the Post Office, one copy went to the Ministry of Justice, another copy went to the Treasury, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, because the Post Office control all commerce in this country and all contracts. So we go to the Post Office, and then the Post Office should have, and I say should have contacted and contracted the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Justice to the Treasury to go out and get the money from the fraud that's taken place within this document. Now, what we're doing here is correct sentence structure, communications, parse, syntax, grammar. That was created, or not created, it was created, but what it proves is there was a fraudulent creation in our documents. So our mortgages were actually written in a fictitious manner. Now, under Title 18, 1001 and 1002, that is fictitiously conveyed contract. Under Title 42, 1986, you have the right to stop and correct any contract, and that's everybody has the right to do that. Under Title 42, 1988, that is with the knowledge of a crime which is now taken place through grammar. So they're using grammar to lie. So when you do that, what you're doing is you're depriving someone of their rights because you're not giving closure to the contract. If you don't give closure to the contract, there is no contract. Plus, so what this says here, it says, I'll go backwards because I like going backwards. It says a level condition, equal continuances of communication. That's a level playing field. So today we summons them to come to court, because this is a court. It comes under the four corner rule. We summons them here to and ask them why they didn't stop and correct under Title 42, 1986. Why they used fictitious conveyance of grammar when they created the mortgage contract, which is actually is no more than an offer, as you can see there. It's an offer. There is no mortgage contract. The contract that I had for this mortgage, I was the only person that actually autographed or signed his name on the paperwork. So there's nothing joining me to that bank or building society at that point. They then, through Title 15, Section 16, 92E, for false and misleading statements, lied. And under Title 15, Title 15, Section 77, Section FF, what they did was that they've lied, and that's a £25 million fine for that. So by doing that, they then created the Title 18, Chapter 13, 242 for deprivation of rights under colour of the law, which they're guilty through syntax. Now, syntax is the number codes that do not lie. The syntax codes do not lie. So if someone's written something to you and they're using fraudulently conveyed grammar, the syntax code will prove it 100% mathematically, forwards and backwards. So there is no lie. So we will look at this page here and we'll say the mortgage promise. And it says here, your mortgage roll number. Well, your is an adverb modifying mortgage to be an adjective. The mortgage is then followed by the word roll. Roll is also an adjective, and number, right? Number becomes a pronoun because there's a full stop. So therefore, they've created a negative state of condition through their words because they have not used one single prepositional phrase in their contract. So that violates everything that they've done. There is no contract here, and most of what they've put in here is boxed. There's a lot of boxes here, like this. You can see that everything on that page is in a box, which I've stamped void contract. And it says about this mortgage. Well, about is a pronoun. This is an adverb making mortgage a dangling participle verb. So where's the closure on the verb? There is no closure. So that violates that. The A is a single syllable used in about, therefore meaning no contract. Any word that's used as any vowel being used as a single syllable that has a how sound is a no contract word, like the word opinion. O is singular, pin means to join, and ION is contract. So there is no contract. There's no joint contract. What they've done, so they've modified everything to be a lie. Everything that is a lie this is in boxes. It's all boxed. So therefore, Black Law's Dictionary, page 591, it says nothing in a box can be considered. So therefore, everything in this box is not really there. There's nothing there. If you went into court with that, there's nothing there. There's more boxes. I've got 29 pages of evidence, of syntaxed evidence, to say that this mortgage is an absolute fraud. Here, where they've got these figures, they've got numbers, they have a pound sign in front, but there's no prepositional phrases, there's no location, there's no tilde, there's nothing. It's actually all on its own. So therefore, it all becomes a pronoun. It's nothing. There are 2 million words in the English language, and all of them are nouns when they're used correctly, but they're not being used correctly. So this is specifically engineered to trick everybody on the planet that the mortgage is actually real and that you actually owe them money, and we go out every month and we pay them a mortgage payment, which might be £500, £600, £700, whatever the mortgage is. But the word mort means death, and gauge means length or measurement, because you gauge something. So therefore, you've got a death pledge, or the length of your death is 25 years, because now you've basically given yourself a 25-year death pledge. That's what that is. So that's what the word mortgage means, and they'll use French. They put it in French on purpose because they know most people don't know French, so they're using these words. So the grammar is correct styles. Now styles, all dictionaries are styles manuals. Sentence structure and meaning. Now styles manuals, so that's why what we do is we put into our documents our own meanings for our words, because that there is how we create our own dictionary. So now I've given closure to the words in this contract. So that's what we've done there. So that's my styles manual. So I've given you closure to what it is, and that's my terms. That's how we're using that word. The syntax is two or more words connecting. So two or more words being joined together. Right? So that's like if we said for the black pen. Well, if you say for the black pen, but then you don't put in the hyphen between black and pen, what you've now got is you've got a pronoun, because for is a pronoun. The now becomes an adverb, modifying black to be an adjective of pen, which is now a pronoun and a negative state condition because those words are not joined. All right? That's what they're doing. They're not connecting the words because the words need to be connected to each other, but they're not. They're leaving gaps. They'll double space, which there's a lot of double spacing in here as well, and they'll also double space laterally, and they'll also do it downwards. So there's a double spacing in the sentences that you've got. So people think, oh, it's double spaced long ways, but it's actually double spaced downwards as well. There should only be it should be one gap per word, and that gap should have a hyphen in it, joining them together. But they vacated all of that to create this complete fraud. The parse, P-A-R, means of a word, so it's part of a word. The S-E is the meaning of the word. That's what parse means. That's our word terms. So we've summoned them today. We've also given them a quo ronto complaint. The quo ronto complaint is how they've broken 26 criminal codes by collusion, perjury, depriving of rights, false and misleading statements, and the list goes on. Fictitious name, the mail fraud, because there's a lot of mail fraud going on here as well. Because to ask for money through the mail system is an actual fraud. Just to do that, that is a fraud. It comes under Title 18, 1341. Now, Title 18, 1342 is a fictitious name. It's where they're not using your name correctly, where they might say your name is, so they might call you Mr. or Mrs. and they might use, instead of calling you Jean, they might just say J, say Smith. So it will say Mrs. J. Smith. Well, J, you're not called J. J is a letter in the alphabet, which is actually a fact. It's a noun, but you're not called J. So what they're doing is they're actually lying to you and using a letter in the alphabet, which just happens to be your the beginning of your name, but they haven't put your name on there. So who's it actually to? If they said J, am I a bird? Am I a bird? No. What are they actually calling me? Are they saying? Are they actually calling me the J of the in there? Or what they're doing is they're lying to you through their own grammar because they can't contract with the living person. And you'll see that the councils are doing this all the time because they'll send me letters and they'll say Mr. J. They know I'm not Mr. J because I've sent it back. I've had this going on for 7 years with the council. The council aren't the council. They're not who they say they are. They're not elected. They've been put there. And I don't want to go down that road too much, but that's exactly who they are. They're there to take money off of you and to harvest. No different to what these are doing. These are doing it on a massive scale. And there's 11.4 million mortgages in Britain. And every one of them will be fraudulently conveyed like this. I then said to them that if they don't agree with my contract, there's a troy ounce of gold for me to answer any of their questions. So what did they do? So then they sent me some more paperwork asking for more money for me to, I can only assume and presume they're asking for money so that it brings the mortgage up to date, so to speak. I'm not sure, I don't know what they're talking about because they've written it in an adjective, in an adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, state of condition, which violates all the grammar again. So how they've done that and asked for money, the syntax codes proves that it was a lie. Most of it's boxed, as you can see. It's all in boxes. Here we've written that sick because we don't know what they're talking about, and they're using false and misleading statements to do that. So I'm now charging you, the Halifax, 1 troy ounce of gold for this communications fraudulent postal mail posting, because that's what it is. And it says that in my contract, and you know it does because it says it on on paragraph 22 of the caretaker claim. So you're not getting out of that. So under title, so today, my name, by the way, I should have said it earlier on, is Federal Postal Court Judge, Justin, Thorne. It's the 24th of June, 2022. At 10 a.m. was the opening of this court hearing with this claim of Title 28-636. Now that allows me to open a court. And I have opened this room today, this four-corner room, as a court. This is a Federal Postal Court today. They were, like I said, and I've said a couple of times, they've been summoned here under the constitution of this document contract to ask, like I've already said, why they're using false misleading statements and why they're lying and why they continually ask me for money each month to pay them in a contract that they didn't actually autograph their names on at all. So I was going to ask Russell Galley today, how can I contract with myself? These are one of the questions that I had for him, because none of his staff or anyone in the Halifax autographed their name on any of these contracts. Not one. So therefore, there is no contract and they're asking for money and the mortgage is a lie. And another reason why the mortgage is a lie is because of, and I don't want to put all this on there, but the title number on here is for each building, because each building that's birthed, because they're all birthed, when a building's been finished being built by a builder, it's given a title number. That title number should be for the people who buy the house. They should be given the title number because then they have the title to the property, but they don't. What happens to that title? It's being traded on the stock exchange as a commodity for this country. So it puts value on the country. So the country's worth whatever the houses are, because you do not own your house. The people that own your house are the people who have bought that title deed, or not deed, well, it is a deed. They've actually bought the title. They give you the deed, and DE is no, and ED is contract. So they've given you a no contract in the deed. And that's what they've done. So that's why they call it deed, a deed of trust. Deed is a pronoun, of is an adverb, making trust a dangling participle verb. They've ended it again in a verb. It's dangling. There's no closure to that word, to the verb. So what we did, well, what David Wynne Miller did, he when I talk about these numbers, what he did was he broke it down into a math code. So in here, I've put it down about 10 times already, there is the explanation of why, and each word has its own value within the syntax codes. So 1 we have here, or we'll start with 0. 0 is a conjunction, and or. And is a command, or is an option. So, or you can use the word either. Because either is spelled E-I, so now we have two vowels together, like earth, air. These have become very powerful words, like authority, because someone who puts their name on a document has that's their authority going on there. When they sign with a squiggly line, that means they've simulated their authority by putting that squiggly line on there, because a 2-year-old could quite happily squiggle just as well as someone who's signed. Because you see doctors' signatures all the time, and doctors' signatures always sign in a box. Now, if you look at that, if you die from medication that they've given you because he signed in cursive, it doesn't matter. Just someone else for you all to look at. But also, the signing, if you go back and look at the word sign, it will take you back to necromancy. So they're casting spells, and that's what they're doing. Anyway, so what David did, he gave the adverb, which is the most used verb in any sentence, and you'll see more adverbs on that. And an adverb, a 1. An adverb is a modifier of the next word. So the pen. The is the adverb modifying pen to be the verb, because a verb is a modified gerund noun in motion. So what that's doing is, there are only 2 verbs in the English language, and when we do correct sentence structure, those verbs can be used and they go into the 3rd position of that paperwork. They must go into the 3rd position. You can't have a verb on the first line or the second. Or so if I was to say, for the knowledge of the claim, then we need to put in our verb of the thinking, and we only allow 1 verb in our sentence structure. So for the knowledge of the claim is with the. Now that's singular, because this is singular. Now if we go into the other verb is are. So we say for the knowledge of the claimant, claimants are with the. So now we're more than 1. So but that would always go into the 3rd position. And then we come to the adjective, which is a 3. Well, if you look at adverb and adjective, we've added to it. We've put an AD in front of both of those words, because without the AD on the adverb, you would have a verb. So you've added AD to the verb. The adjective, the AD has been added to the jective. Now, if you eject from a plane, the E is no, because it means no, right? Because it's a single syllable vowel sound again, and ject is contract, right? No contract. When you pull the lever to eject from the plane that's crashing, you have no contract. Is your parachute going to open? You don't know. That's something you've got to find out. But that's another example of how and why how that works. And then we have a pronoun, which the adjective is a modifier, an opinion and colouring, right? And that's what it does. And it's always followed by a pronoun. So the pronoun, pro in Latin means no, no is no, and un is no. at the end we've got a no, 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 and that is what would follow the adjective. And then we would have an 8. If there's an 8 on the page, like from, that would be a 1.8 possibly, and then you would have it from past time. And if you're in past time, you're not in now time. And if you're not in now time, I don't know what time you're in. Because now you've violated time. You're only ever in now time. And then because the future doesn't exist, they gave that a 9. And the reason they gave it a 9 was because it's obviously the last number before you get to 10, and there is no 10. So 9 is a future time tense, like pre, to, could, should, may. They're all adverbs which are being used in future time. So that's why some of these words in here will have syntax codes with, they might be a 4.2, a 4.8, or a 1.9. That's closure on that. Anyway, so we've asked them to come today. Obviously they haven't turned up, and I don't know what the time is now, but we've waited some time now for them. I don't know if any of you've got the time.
It's about 11 o'clock.
It's about 11 o'clock now, so we've given them an hour, and obviously it's a no-show. So rather than waste any more time of ours, because our time's just as precious as theirs, and they didn't even have the decency to say they weren't coming, my judgment here today is that they didn't come. They didn't come with their argument why they've used false and misleading statements. Why they haven't come here is because they're guilty. And all I'm going to say is today, I don't have the correct thing to do it with, but I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use it on this table, and I find you guilty, the Russell-Galley of the Halifax, guilty of mail fraud and fictitious conveyance of grammar. Court's adjourned.